government and even internationally to rebuild their lives. Farmers, right, who have been displaced from their lands are back there. There is no longer Boko Haram killing or attacking people, and all these things are gone. And there is no longer politicians calling your bluff enough that they are no longer like writing their own, or should I say, paying themselves what they think they could take from the cover of the country. Now, people who are corrupt are now in jail. Now, all those things, like, are they possible at all in that Nigeria that people won't believe that if that should happen? Or is this going to be the Nigeria's reality forever? That you think you, being part of this Nigeria and understanding how Nigeria came by, you will be comfortable to keep it this way, that this is our life, right? That people will be running from their communities in the southern part of Nigeria, in the middle belt part of Nigeria. This is their reality. Those who have been displaced, they will have more people displaced, and this is Nigeria reality. Like, this is what we are going to actually accept and live with. Or there will be a time that all these things will be so gone. But I have an answer for the first one. Yes, there will be time that there will be no longer Boko Haram, Fulani terrorists, Lakurawa, or this corruption, the way you are seeing it currently. And yeah, when Nigeria breaks up, yeah, that's when that will happen. Because one of the things that actually keeps this Nigeria going is because of the interest of the criminals who have hijacked power, entrenched themselves enough that they have foisted a fraudulent system on us that a lot of you are discovering right now. So the only time all this would go away is when Nigeria breaks up. And that is also very much like subjective, so to say. Simply means this Nigeria that you see now, right, where they are robbing Peter to pay Paul, needs to die. Where those who want Sharia, yeah, Islamic Republic or whatever they want to call it, even if they have to keep the name the Nigeria, right? But they can do their own stuff, close to the border of the Sahel over there. There's no point in pushing your Sharia beyond the people where you think you have control. And then when people are able to actually like protect themselves, like for real, they don't have to wait for anyone's approval to defend themselves, defend their own borders. And that is practically either called regionalism or proper breakup, where everybody actually holds their own legitimacy, like their own sovereignty in their own country. But until then, these savages and their sponsors will continue to ride roughshod on every one of us, from the north to the south, from the east to the west. They will remain existential danger as long as this current arrangement remains. There's a community called Gebe Village in Shanga local government area of Kebbi State. That is where Malamu comes from, where he is planning to be their governor. By the way, these terrorists were spotted by the locals. So if in the next few days you hear an attack or killings of people in Kebbi State, the locals are also doing their own bit to raise alarm and raise their awareness. But is the government willing and ready to go after them? This was in Kebbi yesterday.
Kai, wani suna tare garin ga. Abdullahi bari mun ga zamu yi ha. Ai an gama Ali.
People do see them. They will spot them, they will raise alarm, but nothing is done. if you must know. So just remember that as you are going into 2026. A day before Christmas, on the Christmas Eve, there was a bomb blast inside the mosque, a mosque inside the market, right? In Maiduguri. And it was said that this was carried out by ISWAP using a suicide bomber. That was what they said until yesterday, when the Nigerian army said they've arrested 2 individuals who have been alleged to be responsible for that bomb blast, which eventually was said to have killed over 5 people. You know, some said there are more, but said well, killed over 5 people and injured 45 more. It was inside the mosque. So these 2 guys were said to have confessed that they paid them 100,000 naira from Adamawa State to drive and go to Borno State to plant the bomb. Right?
Malam mai sunanka?
Sunana Ibrahim.
Ibrahim wa ka yi magana da kai?
Ibrahim Muhammad.
Kai mutumin ina ne?
Mutumin Mincika.
Ibrahim Muhammad.
Eh.
Kai mutumin ina?
Mutumin Mincika.
Mincika?
Eh.
Kai wani yare ne?
Yare Mincika.
Mincika kai musulmi ne?
Eh.
To Mincika. Ta wani hali ne me ya faru aka kawo ka nan garin nan? Ka bani dan labari me ya faru?
Garin nan damun na zo zan je leka abunda.
Me ya faru a Maiduguri?
Maiduguri bom ne Musa a masallaci guda 2.
A masallaci?
Eh, masallaci.
A wani anguwa?
Anguwa gaba da Kalmari kadan.
Gaba da Kalmari?
Eh.
Wa ya sa ku zo ku sa bom din?
Mai gidanmu.
Ina mai gidan kudin yake?
Inda yana zama kan yana zama bakin dutse, yana zama mubi, shine garin da
yana zama a bakin dutse. Yana zama a mubi. Da ina kuma?
Shine inda na san yana zama.
Me sunan shi?
Su biyu ne, akwai Adam akwai Abubakar.
Adam da Abubakar. Su Boko Haram ne?
Boko Haram ne.
Masalancin da kuka sa din dama daga can suka kwatanta muku masalancin ne ko kawai sun ba ku bom din ku zo ku sama ko wani masalanci?
An kwatanta mana masallaci.
Mene tsakanin su da mai masalanci?
Ni ban san masallaci ma sabon ginawa ne, ban san me ne a tsakanin su ba.
Sabon ginawa ne? To masalancin na suwa yana wuri?
Na yin Izala.
Izala? Tabbas? To me ya kawo ka garin nan kuma nan da Maturu?
Zan zo leka asirin yan sarkin baka da sojoji.
Yan sarkin baka da sojoji? To da ka zo sai me za ka zo ka yi in ka leka asirin su?
Shikenan kawai ni an ce min zo leka asirin su ne, in na leka shikenan sai in koma.
Ka koma? Ka koma Maiduguri? Ko za ka koma mubi, daga nan mubi sai ka shiga Goza?
Maiduguri zan koma.
Sun baka kudin mota ne?
In shiga za su biya ne. Biya za su yi na shiga.
In ka shiga mota? To yanzu da ka zo jiya din ka leƙa asirin sojoji da yan sarkin bakan ne?
A ban leƙa ba.
Daga tun yaushe ka zo nan garin?
Jiya da mangari ba. Da na zo jiya da mangari ba sai na samu wasu yara. Sai na tambaye su ina zan samu gurin kwana. Sai yaron ya tambaye da gurin kwana, amma ga wasu yara a can jin tambaye su. Na je na tambaye su, mun je muna kwance a wani fili, mun yi shimfiɗi muna kwance. Sai wani mutum ya zo ya bi mu da sanda. Muka gudu. Sai wasu yan vigilanti sun ce mu koma mu je mu ɗauka kayan shimfiɗin mu da takalmin mu. Sai muka koma, mun je mun sa takalmin mu kenan, sai suka kara bin mu. Sai yan sarkin baka suka kama mu, aka kawo mu wurin zaman su.
To tun a daren ma aka naɗe ka kenan? To yanzu kace ka bar wani bom a Maiduguri.
So they're the one that attacked that Gamboru's market, you know. And he's a member of a Boko Haram group. And their intention was to, walk through, they were actually like move through the mountains close to this Borno state, in which one of them carrying the bag containing the explosives, right, left it in a mosque. And they didn't know that he left it in a mosque. That was what detonated and killed the people. Then ordinarily botched the supposed planned attack on Borno State at the time. So yeah, so when they asked the military, Nigeria military, when they are giving their own supposed reports about what they have done in 2025, so they said, well, they are happy that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is in prison, Simon Ekpa is in prison, so therefore the security situation in the eastern part of Nigeria has improved. So they gave them a medal. So they now, the guy now said, or he was actually asked, what are they doing about Gumi, who seemed to be the spokesperson for this terrorist in this manner? And then the next one was like, sorry, we can't touch Gumi. The two clips are here. The first one.
Crimes and other criminal activities have significantly decreased during the year following troops' intensified operations across the southeastern states, as well as the recent court rulings against their leader, Simon Ekpa, who was jailed by the government of the Republic of Finland, and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in Abuja. These developments have substantially degraded the group's capabilities. Furthermore, the extremists preyed on lightly manned checkpoints and outposts, killing security personnel to cut away their weapons for use in terror activities. Crimes.
The report of their military in 2025, and that is not true, by the way. The politically sponsored insecurity in the eastern part of Nigeria will end tomorrow if those behind it themselves choose to. But that's not all. He was asked about the Gumi and his own escapades and shenanigans. His response.
You just mentioned the comments by some individuals and leaders. I'll still refer you back to the fact that every agency has its functions, and it is not for the armed forces to focus on what some people in the society do not agree with our activities. Ours is to focus on our kinetic operations and, as much as possible, conduct non-kinetic where necessary. I believe there are relevant agencies who are tasked to consider that his statement, if it is against or for the country. And I believe that they are doing so. On our part, we can raise observations to that, and I believe if it is necessary, we will add our voice to raising those observations to the appropriate quarters. Thank you very much.
Do you get that now? I mean, it kind of like makes sense if you probably will say, it makes sense in the sense that DSS and others who are supposed to consider the shenanigans of Gumi, his movement and his relationship with these terrorists, because he actually have relationship with them. He's not somebody who admires them from far. He's met with them. He's led the people who are like member of governments, to go and meet with the terrorists on several occasions. And according to him, the government knows where these terrorists are. And the government is very much aware every meeting he's been having with them. So, but he's never been invited to, Nnamdi Kanu is sent to prison because of his utterances. They said because of his speech, not because he did anything else. And that in itself, which has no legal basis or what have you whatsoever, okay, is what this soldier is bragging about of how much it's, But yeah, that's just on the side. The another person who is raising alarm is Bala Muhammad of Bauchi. He released a statement this afternoon. Number one, calling on Tifnumbu to stop the implementation of that new tax law in the next few hours, it goes into effect. There is even a court judgment that says Tinubu should go and implement that law. Somebody or some people tried to stop it, but the courts ruled against them today. But the problem now is this. There is a sizable number of the National Assembly members who have now identified the alleged forgery, the difference between the harmonized copy signed by Tinubu or supposedly signed by him, but the one they gazetted, which is the one the different agencies will have to act on, right? From tomorrow, is believed to be very different from the one the National Assembly members signed or approved. Now the problem is the National Assembly leadership under Akpabio themselves have actually acknowledged this. I mean, they've acknowledged the fact that the copy that Tinubu gazetted is a forgery. It's the forgery because they've added some clauses into it that were not part of the original copy. So they were now planning to what they call the regazetting it. That means they would now take the one Tinubu gazetted, they will put that on their own archive, in their own whatever, and say it is the same thing with what Tinubu gazetted. Do you get what I mean? Like me having this bottle, right, handed over to you and say, here, and then you signed and said, I collected and opened water bottle like that. Sure, you get or bottled water like that. And then the next thing is when I open the document that says, indeed, we all saw that you received, this is what you got, okay? Now, which you open the document and the document shows that, no, you received a full bottle closed. I know that's not what happened. And they're like, okay, you know what? Don't worry, okay? We are going to present a bottle that is full and closed. So that don't worry about the ones in the document. So it will match the document. Do you get that? Do you get that analogy? Crazy, yeah? That's what I thought. That is what they are trying to do. The law approved by the National Assembly, the tax law given to Tinubu, signed publicly and should be gazetted, is different from what is gazetted. So the question now is, which of these laws? Because if the National Assembly had gazetted it as they are planning to change the document and say, okay, yeah, it's the same. That's the same thing we gave to him. And I don't think they'll be able to do that. Because the members who have raised the objection and acknowledged this fraud, so are they just going to look stupid or something, right? But they didn't do it. There's no evidence that they sat and did it before the end of this, before the end of the work today. They didn't do it. So the question now is that which law is Tinubu going to implement from tomorrow? Which of the tax law? I don't know the answer, right? But I bet you it is going to be the gazetted one because that is what he wanted. And that's why we believe he's kind of like gotten, right? So Bala Muhammad said because he failed or he refused, right, to become a member of APC, Tinubu's regime is targeting him, and they are in fact trying to kind of accuse him of sponsoring terrorism. But he will still speak his mind, and one of them is that if Tinubu should not implement any law from tomorrow, it should be suspended. Listen to this.
I was just waking up to an occasion where I was told that I'm being accused of terrorism as a governor. Someone who is the head of the opposition. My commissioner has been kept and will not be released by an EFCC. Even when I have immunity as a governor, my name was stupendously mentioned in a motion in a court of law in Nigeria. Me, Bala Muhammad, who is recognized without my inkling for this kind of recognition. God is wonderful. I don't have to say anything. I don't even have to go to the public court. But certainly, politics has become something in Nigeria. But with this kind of people around, Mr. Magui and his colleagues, there is still hope in the country. Whatever anything does to denounce you, to prosecute you, somehow God will bring something to absorb you of blames, of persecution. Because with the little resources we have, the work we have done in Bauchi, somebody will